Howdy, howdy. By the time you see this, we'll start the video. Um, Bandit here. Sorry about the lighting. I'm going to, and the angle. I am actually recording, doing this live, and I'm doing it on my new tablet. So let's see if this helps. Maybe my face won't be as dark. Anyways, we are going to, find one, take a car like this that has no reflective striping, okay, and do it to modern day, since I model modern day, AAR rules. So the AAR rules since 2005, any cars that were built in 2005 and now, up to now, are required to have reflective striping. So if you're modeling modern day, something for you to think about. But they have to have the end. You have to have it's a 4-inch wide, basically 4-inch wide by 36-inch long pieces to signify each end of the car, and then you have to, and then it's required to have 4-inch wide by 18-inch strips in the middle, signifying the middle of the cars or the rail cars passing the crossings and stuff. And basically it boils down to vehicles being able to see the rail cars when they're going over grade crossings when it's dark out, to help try to prevent, I guess people, I hate to say it, but being stupid. I don't know. So I model the Iowa Eastern Railroad. I model modern times, or like I would say my range is from early 2000s to now, I guess. So I'm just equipping all my cars with this reflective striping. Now, no, this isn't a new thing. There's manufacturers out there like Microscale, I think it is, that does graphics or dry transfer decals. You can buy a strip or buy decals that have the yellow and the white. And that's the other thing. The AAR, they have to be yellow or white, where most railroads use yellow. I chose to go yellow just because it stands out a little bit more on a model railroad. But going back to, some people have painted them. Some people have used either dry transfer or waterslide decals. I get why people do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not cutting it down. I wanted that extra step. I wanted that extra flair, that extra pop. So not that I plan on running my railroad necessarily nighttime operations, but I wanted my cars to stand out. I wanted to have that extra. So being formerly in the graphics business, vinyl graphics business, that is, like sign making and stuff. I worked with reflective vinyl, because I had several customers that I had to do reflective vinyl jobs for. Okay, so I knew I didn't want that. The high grade stuff is too thick, which rightfully so, because it's got to be durable. And we don't need that thick of vinyl for doing this. In fact, you don't want that thick of vinyl because it just will not look right. So I started doing some research and ended up finding, side note, found my other little inexpensive X-Acto, not really X-Acto, cheap brand, but it's always good to have extras. Anyways, I did some research looking for something that would work, that would fit what I wanted. So my requirements were, I wanted it to be as close to the yellow or what have you that the railroads use, and I honestly wanted it reflective. So I started looking at craft grade reflective vinyl and came across this stuff. Okay, it's sold. I bought it on Amazon. I want to say it was 3 sheets that are 12 inches by 12 inches were, I don't know, $12. So about, what's that, $4 a sheet roughly. But it's hard to show on camera, but it is reflective. You can kind of see there. It is reflective. It's not the high reflectability that you get that they use on the real cars and stuff. No. Let's face it, we don't necessarily need that. But by having some reflectability and the color or the way, and there again with camera, it's hard to show it, but the way it works on these cars, and I mean, you do get a little reflection off of it, and it's every so often it'll catch your eyes. Really, really cool. So I I found that. And so I'm like, you know what, let's try it. And so far, so good. I'm very impressed with it. It's a cheap and easy way to do this. Now, I'm modeling HO scale. So if you're modeling N scale, this stuff's going to go obviously a little farther than N or HO. But in the end, though, what we're talking about is that $12 that it cost me, that I invested into that to get. Yes, I'm kind of cleaning up here a little bit. To get those 3 12 by 12 sheets of it, they will last me a very, 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 did I say very? A long time. Because I'm going to show you here, and that's kind of why I'm cleaning up. I'm going to show you how I actually cut them and get them to what I need for size. It's really not that difficult. The biggest thing I will tell you that I have learned is I use an X-Acto and I use my scale ruler, but make sure you have a brand new X-Acto blade in. Otherwise, it'll still cut it. It's not an issue of it cutting it as much as, at least with this particular vinyl that I have, cutting it that a scale, HO scale 3 inches, will actually, as you're cutting it, if you're pushing harder, trying. And the thing is too, real quick, you don't want to do it in one cut. Like a lot of things that where you're cutting in this hobby, you want it in separate, several cuts, because when you do, basically when you're cutting that, it's going to want to push the vinyl off the backing. And that, while it's not that huge of a deal, it still is a pain in the butt. And I apologize right now, I should say. We are doing our laundry right now, so if you hear that noise in the background. So anyways, basically all I need is I've got a pair of tweezers. Okay. They're angled ones. They work good. My X-Acto with the brand you see me fresh blade. We're going to take our vinyl and we're going to take our ruler. So if you're doing O scale, obviously your stripes are going to be bigger, probably double roughly. But you can kind of see, well, if I can get it to zoom, or focus, 3 inches is it. Technically, you're supposed to do 4 inches. Well, I got to put my old man glasses on. I don't do that just because I found cutting it at the 3 inches, actually if I that extra HO scale inch does make a difference as far as noticeability, but I found that it's almost a little too overpowering by doing an actual 4 inches. So the 3 inch is actually works out really, really well. So basically what I'm doing is I'm making a couple marks on my vinyl. Okay. Let's back this up a little bit so you can see a little better there. And once I've made my marks, I take my scale ruler up to it and very, very ever so carefully get it lined up. And the key thing with this is, like we've stated, you want to make several passes with your X-Acto. So a sharp X-Acto. And you also want to have firm pressure on your straight edge, because if it slides, well, you're not going to be happy. So 2 things we're doing here. Not only are we, by taking and doing this carefully and making several cuts, are we getting our stripe for our cars, but it's for the granted, yes, we have plenty of material to do the striping, right? Because this little piece right here I'm using is, I cut it in half, 1 sheet in half, and I've done, I can't tell you, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 or 18 of my cars. And I got a lot more to do already. And I've done 1 locomotive. But you want to not waste it though either, because especially if you're larger scale, O, G scale, even 1 inch scale, because let's face it, everything costs money, and you want to try to maintain that nice straight edge. Now, if you do happen to mess up, the other thing too, while I was cutting, is had my blade slightly turned towards the edge here, just ever so slightly, so it kept a constant rub, if you will, on my ruler. By keeping a straight edge, that makes it less likely for you having uneven stripes, because it is possible that for you to get uneven stripes if you get one of those, like where it wobbles on you, or whatever you want to call it. And that's something you really don't want, because you can, in N scale, or I'm sorry, HO scale, you can definitely notice it when it's on the cars, even in HO scale. I know for a fact If you go to larger scales, O scale, G scale, any other S scale, whatever scale bigger than HO, you are going to notice, and I'm sure you'll notice it in an N scale as well too, a variation in the striping if you get, where it goes a little bit wider and a little bit narrower. So anyways, so that's just a few tips. So basically what I do then is I put it up against my rail here, my steel ruler, and I hold it with my fingers. If you look down here at my fingers, and it's real simple. For each car, we need 4 36, so 3-foot pieces. And depending on how much you want to mark them up, so another AAR rule is it cannot be any less than 12 feet in between each stripe. So 12 feet is, so like on this car where this hopper, I'm going to put the stripe there. So 12 feet. So 1, 2, 3. So I really only need on this blue hopper 3 short ones. So we'll do this. Let's see here. So what we'll do is, let's just do this. We'll cut our end. So I'm going to go, I have it lined up on my 0 mark on the end. I don't know how well you can see that. And then we're going to come up here and I'm just like that. Be careful. That's the first I've ever had that do that. Fly off the table. And there you have it. We've got our first, well, we'll call it 4-inch by 12 or 36-inch piece. So just hold it in place, go down to 6 foot, cut it, and basically, if you know how the Northwest Shortline chopper works for like cutting wood and stuff, that's kind of the same concept I'm doing here with my X-Acto, just getting on the mark and just pushing down. I'm not doing any like pulling, I'm just pushing down. The reason being is if you do any kind of pulling, like we discussed before about making several passes while cutting it off the big sheet, you are going to take a chance by pulling on it, pulling it off the backing. And right at this point, I'm just making, I'm cutting pieces to put on the cars. So I'm not ready to do that. So anyways, we go back here. I've got my 4 36-inch pieces cut. I'm going to reset my ruler or piece on the ruler. And then we need 18-inch pieces. So I'm going to go 1.5 foot and cut. And 3 foot and cut. 4.5. 6, and so on and so forth until I have enough. So let me do some cutting here. Now you may find, and I have a couple pieces here that did this. 16.5. Okay, that should be good for now. You may find, and I had a couple pieces, do it right here where when I cut them, and I'll try my best to leave it. See how it kind of, I don't know how well you can see that, but it kind of pulled it off to the side a little bit, and that's fine. I generally will use those first because let's face it, on our model railroads, unless you're doing like an outdoor model railroad, the adhesion to the cars, yes, it's very important because especially if you're doing this to, like I am, to a car that hasn't been weathered yet. And being that this is a Great Northern car, nothing against Great Northern, so if you're a Great Northern fan, that's fine, but I model modern time. I'm going to be weathering this, and I'm probably going to be weathering it really heavy. But the biggest thing is make sure it's stuck, and you press it down, and we'll show you here shortly. But there again, it's also not going to be out in the actual elements like outdoor railroads are. So you can see I've got one strip cut, and I am going to get that one placed, and I'll show you here. I get it placed. That's where these tweezers come in, especially these angled ones. And you have a little bit of flexibility with moving this on the adhesive. And you can see where I place that one right here. And you can do this however you want. You can start with your shorter ones on the inside. I personally prefer to start with my outside ones, just because when I do them differently. I don't do every car the same exact way, setup, whatever you want to call it. I have box cars where they're all horizontal. The covered hopper I showed you at the beginning of this, they're all vertical. This one will be vertical as well. Some cars have more striping than others. I'm trying to simulate from different roads, and let's face it, even on the same roads, I work in the trucking industry, so we have striping, reflective striping regulations we have to abide by, and for DOT, and let's face it, some there's the minimum, and then there's some people like myself, call me an overachiever, whatever you want, like to go the extra mile for safety. And my thinking is, at least as far as the trucking world is, my family's out traveling the roads, my girlfriend, my kids, and let's face it, you want them to be as safe as possible. So, and I know that I know there's people not like this, but I hope that out there are other people who work in the trucking industry that would think this way too. But your family, your loved ones are out there. So that's where I like putting in the extra reflective, or not extra, but making sure it's seen. Well, that's I take that same philosophy to my rail cars. This is my railroad. I have my standard setup, metal wheels, KD. I prefer KD number 58s, but if I have a car or somebody brings cars over to run on my railroad, and they only have number 5s, that's fine. But I do, metal wheels, KDs. And now, since I decided to do this, striping. So you can see, and I don't know if under the light helps or not, but you can see the striping on there by moving around. You can kind of see the reflectiveness of it versus the side that doesn't have anything. So this is something else that you can do to modernize your fleet. Yes, some manufacturers, I don't know how I think some manufacturers, when they make their cars, or their graphics on their cars, it's screen printed, I believe. I could be wrong. But some manufacturers, they actually do screen print the simulated reflective stripes on them, and not cutting them down, not at all. It's great that they do that on modern cars. But the other thing too is, if you're modeling, see, like me, I'm modeling from 2000, the early 2000s, newer. So yes, I'll have cars that are on here that were built 70s, 60s. according to their builder or their data plates. But they've been modernized. And another AAR rule is once a car has done a brake inspection, it's, I don't know, I guess I'm not 100% sure, and I have to look up this part. I haven't yet, but like annual brake inspection, or maybe it's semi-annual, whatever, biannually. Within 9 months after that brake inspection, to certify that car to be legitimate to be on the rails, within 9 months after that, it has to have reflective striping put on it. So that's why, if as time goes on, and you'll see more videos from me, whether they're live or not, you'll see cars on my railroad that, well, you know what, that's an older car, this or that. You're right. My railroad, my railroad is I want to say cash strapped railroad, but it's a railroad that, you know, tries to be financially responsible. And so anyways, that doesn't mean I am when it comes to train stuff, getting this railroad built, but you know, it sounds good, right? So I want my railroads, my cars, to be up to par. So getting back here, so as you saw, I put that on there. I'll use my finger and push down a little bit, and then I'll take my tweezers and actually just very ever so lightly rub it in. If you have rivets, you can work this in over rivets. A good way to say it's not working, say you have that one stubborn rivet that it almost wants to lay over, grab a little torch or heat gun, or use your soldering iron, heat from it, just not touching it, but just the radiant heat from it. Just give it a little bit of heat, push it down with your finger or tweezers. Be very careful though with tweezers, because you can tear it and rip it, but vinyl will actually soften up and wrap around and then re-stick. So, but then I just basically spaced out. I chose, there's the other side. I chose, you know, that spacing for this car. Now, another car like this may get more, but as it stands, let's look here just so we can verify. So we are we're as close to the front of the car as we can, as possible. So first stripe's 12 foot. And then we are, for argument's sake, we'll just call it 10.5 foot to the center. So here we are 12 foot, and then 10.5 foot to the center. So we meet the 12 foot requirements on this car for the reflective striping. So with that being said, we're going to end this live. Wanted to get on here and do a video. I haven't done a video in a couple weeks. It's been, the last couple of weeks have been busy with with the holidays, Thanksgiving and stuff for us here in the US, traveling, spending time with family, that kind of thing. But then even so after that, I really wanted to get some work done on the railroad. Doing these videos and my podcast and stuff like that do take up a lot of time, as far as, doing this stuff. It takes away from the railroad. So I kind of took the last couple weeks and just focused on the railroad and what I wanted to do on this railroad. So I want to thank you for watching. Yeah, even though nobody jumped on live, which is fine. I get it. But this will be available for people to watch after the fact. So I want to thank you for watching this, and with us coming into the new year, check us out on our podcast, Model Railroad Talk. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google, Pandora, iHeartRadio. We're on all of those. not only are we on here, YouTube, we're on TikTok as well. And we are just building this, but we have some special things coming up for next year, in a sense, season 2 of the podcast. So we're going to have stuff that I'm working on right now, like ask the expert, or whatever you want to call it. A good buddy of mine is a by trade and has been for, I think, most of his, if not all of his working career, a locomotive engineer. So we're going to be introducing, ask him questions about locomotives or cars and stuff like that. We're going to be introducing that next year in our podcast. Going to be trying to add more videos and stuff like that. But if you would like to reach out to us, modelrailroadtalk@gmail.com. You can go to our website, www.modelrailroadtalk.com. And on our website, there's forums, there's groups you can do on there. You can post pictures and stuff. The only thing that we do have it set up to where you have to create, I don't want to say create an account, but to be able to do some of that. And the main reason is we're trying to keep the spam out of there, the fake users and stuff. So, but check us out on all those platforms. If you like this video, like what you see, we have all sorts of different videos. They're not all like this. We are planning on doing live, kind of like what we do on TikTok a little bit, is get a train up and running around. These locomotives right here, running around. I've actually got 2 brand new locomotives. They're going to be here tomorrow. I'm super excited. I've been saving up for a long time to get these locomotives, and finally was able to get them. My favorite type of locomotive, which is an SD40, SD40-2. That's what they are coming in. Broadway limited. That's all I'm telling you. So keep watching the videos and lives and stuff. I'm excited to get them in here and get them running around with the sound. But I'm going to do some videos with this running around. So anyways, reach out to us, email, website. If you like what we're doing, head on over to patreon.com/model railroad talk. Check out over there. You can become a premium supporter. There's some benefits. You can try that for 7 days free. If you don't dig it, you know what? That's fine. You can go back and just be a regular member. Perfectly fine. We have t-shirts and stickers you can purchase through our website. At the top, you'll see shop, or you can go straight to our Square site by using mymrt.shop. That's the web address that takes, it's all connected. For t-shirts, Model Railroad Talk t-shirts, that is, and stickers. We're looking at possibly adding coffee mugs and stuff like that down the road. But before I get too far in, I'm thinking about maybe redesigning our logo a little bit, but not enough time in the day. So thank you for watching. And until next time, like we always say, keep your train on the tracks.